Hi, everyone. I am Matthew Haas, Superintendent of Albemarle County Public Schools. Welcome to the Albemarle County Public Schools podcast. I have two guests on the podcast, Weining and Avery Bruen, both of whom are student leaders at Albemarle High School and Albemarle County Public Schools. Recently, Weining and Avery started a special project for the benefit of students in ACPS. The project is called empowerHER Project, and we are going to learn more about it from Avery and Weining. I also want to learn more about these young people and their leadership journeys. So let's get started. Weining and Avery, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Weining, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your life background.
I'm a second generation immigrant. My parents came from China for college. I've lived in Charlottesville and Albemarle County my entire life. In my free time, I like to play volleyball. I'm doing track and field right now, and I like to visit museums.
What's your favorite museum?
I would say the Museum of Modern Art, I would say, but like if you're talking about locally, I like the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts.
Nice. Yeah, those are great museums. All right. Avery, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
My name is Avery Bruen. I'm 15 years old and I'm a sophomore at Albemarle High School. I've lived in Charlottesville my entire life, and I recently transferred from Monticello to Albemarle High School. For my extracurriculars, I definitely love to spend a lot of time with my family. I'm very family oriented and I love to travel.
Where's the last place you traveled?
Like in the country last year because of like all the pandemic, or I guess you could say in 2020, I went to New York. But definitely my favorite place I've traveled was the Galapagos Islands. That was pretty cool.
Wow, I'm so jealous. What was the most fascinating it's known for animals, for
Yeah.
different species. What
Yeah,
was your most interesting species?
it's really cool. Like the version of, I guess you could say, like deer there were like seals. There were seals everywhere. And we like snorkeled with a lot of turtles. It was all around really cool.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Mhm.
How did you two become friends?
Um, we became friends through my brother because Winnie and my brother are very close, so we met through him.
What's your brother's name?
Cole Bruen.
Sounds like a good guy. What grade's he in?
He's a senior as well.
All right. Well, let's give a shout out to Cole. So, why did you decide to start the Empower Her project?
Well, I've been thinking about this for a while now, but I've always noticed that like ever since we got the dispenser machines in the bathroom, even though that's been a step forward towards progress, it's been not a perfect solution to menstrual inequality. As like if you don't have any products, like the machine is empty or it's broken, you have to waste your own class time trying to find the bathroom, and you're kind of getting behind while other people don't have to deal with that issue.
Yeah. So, how did you get it started? What were the steps you all took?
Well, Weining originated that idea and kind of came to me. And through that, it developed with creating like social media accounts and a website. And then we furthered it with going to neighborhoods and collecting donations.
So, you all, do you still have a site that you use to collect donations or monetary donations? Because we can include it when we send out the link to the podcast.
Yes, we do have a website, and then we also have a separate like Amazon wish list for people who wish to donate, but we don't take monetary donations right now.
Okay. So you can send those to me and we'll go ahead and put that together with when we put out the podcast. That's exciting. Did you run into any barriers as you made your way? Anything you had to overcome?
I mean, this is a really time-consuming process. Like, our first neighborhood was Belvedere, which wasn't as big. So Avery and I just walked around and we put like a piece of paper on each door telling them about our mission and how they can help. But then our next place we went to was Forest Lakes, which has around 1,500 homes, which is like a lot for just me and Avery to be doing. Like walking up to each person's door and occasionally having to talk to the people who are there took a lot of time. That was a barrier. But since then, I think we've modified how we do things, and we've also increased our number of volunteers.
That sounds like good problem solving. So when you had conversations with people at their houses, how did that go?
Most of the time, they were very, very supportive and very, like, I guess you could say, like, amused that we're so young and doing something like this because it's so, like, necessary. Some people were confused, but I think once we explained it to them, they're like, oh, okay, I understand why you guys are doing this.
Mm-hmm. Good communication. That takes a lot of courage to get out there and do that work too. What have you learned as you have worked on this project?
I think I've learned a lot about our community as a whole. The amount of support we've gotten is like insane. We hear so many positive things from everyone we talk to, and the amount of donations we've gotten is amazing. Also, in the process, we've learned a lot about how to communicate with press and media. Like we've talked to reporters from the newspaper, people from CBS 19, and recently we just did an interview with a radio station, and it's been really interesting to learn about all those things.
That's a lot to learn, but things you'll never forget.
Mhm.
And you'll be able to use those skills as you go on. So, what do you hope will happen next?
I think we hope to expand to other schools besides Albemarle and just really like spread our mission.
Tell us a little bit about your all's school experience. Avery, what is your favorite subject in school? I'm curious.
I really enjoy English class and I also like history.
So, who are those teachers that you have right now?
I have Miss Kingery for English and then I have Miss Krieger for history, even though she is out right now.
So they'll be happy to hear that you enjoy their classes.
Mhm.
Weining, how about you? What's your favorite subject?
My favorite subject is math, I would say. I think it's fun.
Who's your math teacher?
Currently, I'm taking AP Stats and Calc 3. So my Calc 3 teacher is Mr. Maciel, and then my statistics teacher is Mr. Hale. But I also really like Calc last year with Miss Kaufman. So.
Okay. You talked a little bit about your extracurricular activities, and Weining, you play volleyball, and you told me the other day you had started getting a little bit into field events with the track team. And Avery, do you also play volleyball, or what's your extracurricular?
I did in middle school, but right now I am trying out rowing. So that's
Oh
super
wow.
exciting. Yeah.
So you'll be down on the reservoir?
Yeah, in the spring season, hopefully.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What do you like to do outside of school besides big projects that help the community?
Um, well, I work. I work at like a local restaurant, and I also just like to spend time with my friends and my family because I feel like that's super important.
Which restaurant?
I work at Orzo.
Oh, that's a great place. Yeah.
I love it.
How about you, Wayne? What kind of hobbies do you have, or things you like to do outside of school and extracurriculars?
Well, currently I'm coaching a volleyball team, a club volleyball team. And in the next month, I'll start coaching a middle school volleyball team as well. So that's what I'm doing for work. And then for things I like to do, I like to try new restaurants when I have money.
What restaurant have you tried recently?
I went to Bizu recently, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, that's one thing about this area. There's always new restaurants to try out, and a lot of neat places to go. All right, so you have addressed a positive change in our schools through the Empower Her project. If you could change something else about high school, what would it be? Avery, what do you think?
That's a good question. I feel like if I could change one thing, there should be a new system regarding like tardiness, especially in the mornings, because sometimes you can't control it with traffic, and it just might something to be with your family, especially if you can't drive, it cannot be your like fault, and then you get marked absent for it or tardy for it.
Yeah, I used to have when I was a principal at Albemarle High School many years ago, and there was a student, he's one of my favorite students. He had a T-shirt that said, I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't want to be here."
That's funny.
So, but I always thought, well, you may not have wanted to be here, but you did come to school. You came even though you're a little bit late. And you're
Mhm.
right. The morning time is when you can, you're not already someplace, so it can be tough to get somewhere on time.
Yeah.
Wayne, what would you change?
I think something I would change actually relates to empower her a little bit, but I think it would be good to I don't exactly know how we would do this, but make the bathrooms more of a safe space. There tends to be a lot of issues with the bathrooms in our school, and we're hoping that maybe with empowerHER we're making it a little bit better.
Yeah. So one thing I could tell both of you that I hope would be encouraging is that, so to make a long story short, we have different pockets of funding that we can use for what we call capital projects. Some of them we have every year, and some we need to gather together to build a school or put on an addition. And so earlier, 2 months ago, I had a conversation with our director of building services and talked about something that I think is long overdue at Albemarle High School. And the most antiquated and troublesome bathrooms, I think, are the ones on the first floor down by where the newer addition is. And on the second floor, they're also the same type of bathroom. We're going to do a project this summer to basically remove those bathrooms and then replace them with one large pocket of single occupancy restrooms, so that it would be, you might be able to fit, I guess, maybe a dozen or so, because you could then have students have privacy to use the restroom and be able to just come and go from those, and put a duty station outside so that, as students are coming and going, we make sure everybody's safe. And we're going to try to do both floors, because I think that would adequately serve, and students would still have other choices on where to go, but those would be a place that it would really improve things for students to be able to use the restroom, because I know that's hard at school. We're also thinking about investing in vape detection systems for those, so that students can have a place they know for sure they can go, that's not going to be an issue. That's one thing I don't think students have a whole lot of control over, is like, those kinds of changes, at least raising the money for it or doing things. But I have heard a lot from students over the years, the concerns about those restrooms. And so I hope that students feel listened to. As you look to the future, what are your dreams? What do you dream of, Avery?
I'm still an underclassman, so I haven't thought that much about like my future, but I do plan to go to college, and hopefully a good college. And then I'm not quite sure what I want to do for like my final career. It kind of changes every day, like with my mood of what I want to be. But I guess I'm still very young, so it's kind of fun to dream about what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I am a senior. I haven't heard back from colleges yet. We're still waiting on that, but I'm hoping to go to college. And when I'm older, I think I want to be a diplomat for the State Department. I think that's cool.
Mm.
And so I'd like to travel a lot.
Yeah, I imagine that would be super cool. Thanks for sharing that. If you could give an elementary school student advice about school and life, what would be the main advice you would try to give that student?
I would say stay dedicated to schoolwork, as hard as that sounds, because in the end, like your studies will really pay off as much as you don't want to do it. And I've really learned that this year. And also, I would say don't be afraid to try new sports or new clubs or new activities, because you'll never know if you don't try.
Wow, that's great advice. How about you, Weining?
I think I would tell an elementary schooler that you have to make your own opportunities. You really can't wait for other people to give stuff to you. And I also agree with Avery's idea of like trying new things. I think trying new things in my life has like led to like the best experiences I've ever had. So,
I agree. And I also think we should encourage people when they say they want to try something new. I mean, just encourage them.
Hmm.
Uh, I have a tradition of asking people on the podcast what is their current favorite snack. So, Weining, what's your favorite snack?
I like the Trader Joe's dark chocolate covered pretzels.
Oh man, that sounds crazy. That sounds great.
Um, I like Cheez-Its, but I like the ones that are like extra toasted, like the
Oh, okay.
extension. It's very specific, but they're like really good.
Yeah, those are both great snacks. You could probably combine them. So let's see. Last question. When you think back, what one accomplishment that you've made so far in your lifetime are you the most proud of? What about it, Weining?
I would say my biggest accomplishment would be this last summer. I did 3 different programs, and stepping out of my comfort zone that much, I was constantly traveling. I think I learned a lot about myself, and I thought that was a big accomplishment for me.
Like, what were the programs?
I did the School of the New York Times, so I spent 2 weeks in New York City.
Wow.
Really cool. And then I spent a month in Bradford University for the Governor's School of Humanities. And
Okay.
then I did another week of high school diplomats, which is like, it was gonna be at Princeton, but I got moved to virtual, but it was still an interesting experience. And you pretty much worked with cultural diffusion and facilitation with Japanese students.
Wow, that's amazing. You really put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Avery?
One of the things I'm really proud of is over the pandemic, I stepped out of my comfort zone and I actually started to gain a following on social media. And I have recently given it up because it was a lot of work, but I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to watch all the, people start to tag along and see what you're up to.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, Weining and Avery. I know you should be very proud of yourselves for all that you do, especially the empowerHER project, which I do think has a future. But I also want you to know that I'm really proud to work in a school system with students like you. You really make a difference every day. So thank you for being with us here in our schools, and thank you for giving up some time this morning to be on our podcast. It really has been such a pleasure to talk with you and to learn more about you. And I really hope you have a great day today.
You too. Thank you for having us.